Hello and welcome to my first segment, my first broadcast in English, um, which I'm calling Astral Connections with Manu Tarot. This is something I've been doing already in among the Spanish community, and this time I'm going to do one in English for everyone to um, enjoy. Let's start first with an introduction of who am I, who I am. Everyone knows me as Manu Tarot and as an astrologer or tarot card reader. I'm a little bit more than just that. There's much more beneath the surface. Um, Beside an astrologer, tarot card reader, I've been doing tarot card reading for almost 20 years. Um, it was many, many years ago, a minister, um, a very young minister, and I did presentations in audience of 8,000 and 3,000 people. And my degrees, if you're interested in that, I hold 2 bachelor's and 1 master degree. A bachelor in marketing, business administration, another bachelor in science, and my master in Oriental Medicine, which translates into acupuncturist. So that's more or less my background. Back in time, I had vocational study in electronics. So I also familiarized with electronics. I don't work in that, but I do understand the philosophy behind it. Um, I work with essential oils. I work with chakras, pain management, and as you know, tarot card readings and astrology. Um, Today, I would like to start talking about depression and the 5 elements. And I believe that if we are capable to understand the dynamics of the 5 elements in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, we are going to be capable to understand and do more for the ailment or disease that is known as depression. We have 5 elements in the world of Chinese medicine, which is fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And let's start with sorry, let's start with wood. Let's start with wood. First of all, we have the wood element, and it represents the vegetation. It represents the spring, that season of the year where everything is germinating, everything is growing, where everything is budding, everything is blooming. And that's the concept behind the element of the wood. Is it very interesting that, as a fact, that all the plants are connected with a massive network of roots or capillaries, if you want to call it like that, is a bed of capillaries, roots, networks that connect each single one of them. It's very, very, very interesting that vegetation, they connect with each other. And the purpose of this connection, of this worldwide net, is to share information. It has been proven that the mother of a very specific tree, plant, bush, fungi, whatever it is, the one that gave birth to all these other types of the very same kind of vegetation, before she passed away, before she dies, before this plant passes away, what she does, sorry, she shares her knowledge. She shares all the information that she has accumulated throughout the years. So it's a very intricate network where they share information and knowledge. Not only that kind of knowledge, they share as well information on what is going on around within the forest, the woods, or their biosystem, the ecosystem. So if there is a fire, they communicate with each other that there is a fire. When there is a shortage of water, they redistribute the water, which is a very fascinating. And what they do is they help each other out. That's vegetation. That's what they do. And with this network, they communicate that information and they share. They not only share water, they don't only rationalize the water, they also redistribute the wealth, the food, and everything that they have in common in this ecosystem that they are located. Therefore, when we do take this into consideration, then we understand the element of wood among or within Chinese medicine. So that means that in this case, within depression, we have to take under consideration networking, society, social life. They are support. They are the support network for anyone that is suffering depression. Therefore, what we really need to know then is that within the wood element, it is very important for people to socialize, to get together, to network, and to help each other out. There has to be a need, not only a need, a sense of a clan, that I belong to something or someone. Therefore, it's very important for people that are suffering depression to belong to some kind of institution, be a church, a group, whatever it is, because it's going to help each other out. It's going to help the element of the wood. We also need to take into consideration that the wood element, like the Tao Te Ching says, we need to keep in mind that the wood element, which represents the vegetation, when it's alive, is malleable, is pliable, is flexible. And it is letting us know that the need of being flexible, the flexibility in life is very important. Because according to the Tao Te Ching, when we are not like the wood, when we're not like the vegetation that when the wind blows, it moves and adapts, then we are going to turn into rigid kind of people. We're dead, according to the Tao Te Ching. And that what happens when someone suffers of depression. The wood element is deficient, and the person starts isolating. It cuts its ties with society, the network. Not only that, but it starts turning a little bit rigid, start turning a little bit stubborn in the way that it only focuses in one little thing. And I'm not denigrating anyone, but I'm just saying that the wood element, when it's in a healthy state, it helps us to adapt, like the plant, the vine, the tree. You probably have seen trees that they grow, and when they find an obstacle, they do different things. They overcome the obstacle by destroying it. That's one option. The other option is that they just turn around and they evade or avoid the obstacle, or they simply embrace the obstacle and they make it one. So you have probably seen trees that they have chains, fences that are technically part of what they are at this point. So in other words, the wood element teaches us that we really need to embrace our pain, our sufferings. We have to understand them. We need to be flexible, adapt to the circumstances. When a deficient element of wood is present, the person is rigid, is technically dried, and he cannot bend, cannot adapt, and he cannot embrace the problem and make it part of it. And that's the problem of the wood element when it's deficient. There are many things that you can do with the wood element to promote balance within the wood element. For example, in TCM, Chinese medicine, we say that the wood element is associated with ligaments and tendons. Therefore, we could do certain things like Tai Chi, yoga, Qigong to promote the smooth flow of the Qi. Okay? In TCM, we also say that the wood element is associated with organs, the liver and the gallbladder organs are associated with the wood element. So we're talking about decision making, we're talking about flexibility and the ability of making turns in life. And that's what it's all about. The emotions related with the wood element are anger, frustration, resentment, and deep rooted um, emotions, feelings that generate some kind of anger. That could be related to a frustration, which is related with the wood element. So a person that is suffering depression of the type of the wood, they are going to be rigid, hypersensitive, and they're also going to be a little bit stubborn, indifferent. They are not going to be able to establish priorities because the wood element, it is defective, let's put it like that. Therefore, we're going to start seeing these kind of pathologies that are going to affect the state of mind, in this case, the mood, easily anger, hypersensitive, and that kind of dynamic we're going to start seeing with people that suffer depression, but of the kind of the wood element. Okay. Um, we also have to keep in mind there are other things that we can do besides Tai Chi, Qigong, and yoga to stretch, because we need to stretch our body in order to promote the Qi, the energy in our body, so the wood element is healthy and balanced. We can also use essential oils. Some essential oils like helichrysum or everlasting, rosemary, um, are really good for that. Carrot seed oil is also very good for the wood element. So those are like examples that you can use for someone that is suffering depression of the kind of wood element. Okay. Now we have, let's go with the fire element. We have them after the wood, we have the fire element. The fire element is the most interesting element because it has four divisions. It has four divisions. It has four different types of fire under it. And for that, we need to understand um, what the fire element is. First of all, we already know the sun. Without the sun, everything gets cold and dies off. The fire element gives us that warmth, that love, that approachability, that desire of people of getting next to us. We already know that when we create a bonfire, people that are cold, they get together. They're looking for the warmth. When it's cold during the winter, everyone is looking for something to warm up themselves. And that's the nature of the fire element, warming things up, keeping things alive. It is all about awareness, consciousness of what makes us happy, what brings joy to our lives. That's the fire element in TCM. Now, beside that, now we need to understand that there are four categories. We could say four categories within the fire element. And in TCM, we have the pericardium or the heart protector. We have the small intestine. We have what we call the sanjiao, and we have the heart. The heart is called or seen as the emperor. And the pericardium is the heart protector, is the bodyguard of the emperor. We have the sanjiao and the small intestine. And all of them, they are some sort of counselors, people that give advice. They work together with the emperor, the heart. And in Chinese medicine, we say that the heart harbors the Shen, which is closely related with the mind, with our consciousness, with being aware of who we are, and what we want in life. Okay, let's start with the Sanjiao. The Sanjiao is in charge of protecting. It's like a filter that protects us from any outside influence. And that could be feelings, emotions, any kind of information that is negative from our idiosyncrasy, our personality. The Sanjiao is in charge of filtering that information. Once it's filtered, the pericardium, the heart protector, is the one that assimilates the information and keeps filtering. But in this case, now is more the interaction that we have, our feelings and emotions, our inner feelings and our inner emotions, how we react to the outer world. The Sanjiao is in charge, like I said, of the outer world, the interaction of the outer world. But the pericardium is the one that filters all that information, makes an interpretation of what is going on, like what happened in United States, in some South Carolina, with the shooting. So someone with a healthy Sanjiao will process the information, will analyze, will understand. The pericardium will internalize that information, and it will create a healthy response into that. And that's the interaction of the pericardium and Sanjiao. One is interaction with the outside world, and the other one, the pericardium, is the inner world, our inner world related with our feelings, our emotions, our schema. Okay? Now, we have the small intestine. And in small intestine in Chinese medicine, we say that it separates the clear from the turbid. And when we talk about clear and turbid, in a very literal way, we're talking about food. We are talking about food that is clear, that is pure, that is healthy, that is beneficial to our bodies, to our health. And the turbid is anything that the body doesn't need gets totally discharged, and it turns into fecal matter. So from an emotional, psychological, and a spiritual perspective, the small intestine, what it does is filters all that energy that is healthy for our mental health, for our psychology and our emotions. It filters them, and whatever it is garbage and whatever is harmful for our integrity as a human being is totally discharged. Whatever is not healthy, I'm talking about. Whatever is healthy is obviously absorbed, reabsorbed into our body, So we can have an awareness, so we can have joyfulness and an awareness of who we are, what we want, etc., etc., etc. As you know, the intestines or intestines, they are practically wrapped in blood vessels. But not only blood vessels, because within the blood vessels, well, not within, along with the blood vessels, we have the lymphatic tissue. And it recently has been proven that our lymphatic system doesn't only limit itself to everywhere except the brain. There is a lymphatic tissue or lymphatic vessel that goes all the way from the back of the head all the way to here, our brain. It nourishes our brain. And it's very, very important this, because I'm sorry, the small intestine, in a very literal way, it filters our food. And if we're giving garbage, emotional garbage, psychological garbage, spiritual garbage to ourselves, that's what we're feeding to our mind, which is the Shen, which is the heart, the emperor. I'm sorry. So a person that is suffering of deficiency of oh my, deficiency of the fire element is going to have a very defective way of thinking, analyzing and processing everything. We're going to start having problems with our neurotransmitters because there's a lot of garbage affecting our brain, our understanding. Our joy is going to be, and therefore the joy of life is diminished. And not only that, we call that cloudy mind. The Sanjiao is in charge of making sure that the warmth of the sun, of the emperor, is distributed throughout the whole body. Therefore, we turn into people that are cold by nature. And we start isolating because the wood element, which is the mother of fire, is deficient. And if because it's deficient, now the fire element becomes deficient and it starts languishing and it turns cold. The person starts turning cold, indifferent. And the judgment start getting deficient. Then we start attracting negative thoughts because our fire element is deficient. The best treatment that you could do for boosting the fire element is laughing yoga. The laughing yoga is the best one. Okay? Because laughter is related with the fire element. So laughing yoga would be a great treatment for that. Or watching comedies. Comedies, it nourishes the fire element. Okay? Now, after the fire element, we have, I'm sorry, the earth element. And the earth element in TCM is about nourishing. Is the earth is what gives us structure, a sense of stability, a sense of protection. And someone that has a deficient earth element is someone that obviously doesn't take care of itself, of himself or herself, because it's all about nourishing, feeding us. And the earth element starts manifesting that way by apathy. The person doesn't take care of the physical appearance. The person stopped eating properly. And those are signs that the earth element is going to be affected or is getting affected. The person, again, like I said, turns a little bit apathic, indifferent, and unsecure. There is, I wouldn't say fear, but the person doesn't feel safe. It's like a baby that the mother is taking away from the baby. The baby is not going to feel nourished, thus it's not going to be it's not going to feel like it's being taken care of. And that's what the element earth does. In Chinese medicine, we have the stomach and the spleen, which are related with the earth element. And the stomach is the one that goes forward looking for what is going to satisfy us in life, while the spleen is the one that creates the awareness that something needs to be satisfied. When the earth element is deficient, the person is not aware anymore of what is going to satisfy him or her. Therefore, the person starts feeling not secure, not safe, because the person doesn't know what is going to bring satisfaction to his life. He has lost that. In Chinese medicine, TCM, we say that the earth element, when once is sick or deficient, it creates dampness and phlegm. And that dampness and phlegm can accumulate everywhere. But in depression, it accumulates in the head. And it creates cloud judgment, like the small intestine. Small intestine and spleen, they go hand in hand in this function. And it creates a cloud judgment. The person is confused. The person doesn't know what he wants in life, doesn't know where to go, doesn't know how to achieve goals, doesn't know what to do, where to go, and anything like that. The element is deficient. And which is more interesting, the flavor or the taste associated with the element earth is sweet. So people that have a deficiency of the earth element are going to crave anything that is sweet. So people that have depression, you're going to start seeing that they're going to start craving anything that is sweet. But that's because in a very unaware way, the person is acknowledging that the earth element is deficient. And this is very important for a very simple reason. In Western medicine, when we eat anything that is sweet, and when I say sweet, I'm talking about carbohydrates as well, the insulin levels, they rise. And in Chinese medicine, the earth element is related with it as well. And it's very fascinating because tryptophan, when there is deficiency of serotonin, the element, the amino acid tryptophan is very important. And the body needs carbohydrates for a very simple reason. When we raise the consumption of carbohydrates, what we do is we eliminate the competition among tryptophan and other amino acids. When the insulin levels rise, then the tryptophan is readily available for the creation of serotonin. Okay? Meanwhile, any other amino acid is stored in the muscles. And muscles are also related in TCM with spleen and stomach meridians. So notice the wisdom of our body embedded in our nature. Okay, so when someone is craving sweets, it's highly probable the person has a deficiency of tryptophan, of serotonin, and the body needs carbohydrates, sweet, the taste and the flavor of the spleen and stomach meridian in order to boost serotonin. Okay, so we're seeing here a very interesting dynamic with elements. But now that we talk about the earth element, we need to talk then with food. And this poses a very interesting question, which is, do we have to eat healthy? Well, yes, the earth element is represented by what we call in TCM the post-heaven or postnatal chi. Therefore, the energy that we need comes from our food. So if we start eating junk food, garbage, crappy food, or whatever you want to call it, that is going to affect our mood. And it has been scientifically that there is a food mood connection. And all that information is represented in the what I just mentioned, the earth element. So just see the knowledge and the wisdom that is enclosed within the theory of the five elements and depression. Um, Something that I believe, because dampness and phlegm, is thick by nature. It's we all know that dampness and humidity is thick, is heavy by nature, and when it's lodged in our mind, metaphorically speaking, we need something that can eliminate it. And the best way to eliminate that type of dampness in our head is by doing certain exercises that are called pranayama in the Hindi world. And one of the best pranayama is one that you do a humming sound. Okay, um, you just put your tongue on your palate behind upper teeth, and you make a humming sound like mm. There's one. The other one, you put thumb here, this here, this here, this here, and this here, and you do the humming sound again. And what you're doing is transmitting all this energy that is coming out from here. You have three channels, three meridians emerging from here and energizing the whole face. So this humming sound is really good because it breaks down what we call phlegm turbidity in TCM. That's what I have to say about the earth element. Now, the earth element gives birth to what we call the metal element. The metal element is about boundaries. It's creating a separation, a distinction between me and you, my rights and your rights, what I like and what I dislike. It creates a sense of being gullible or not being gullible. A healthy um, metal element recognizes where my right starts and where your right starts, and vice versa. Okay, so we're seeing that the metal element is closely related with the long meridian and the large intestine or large intestine and the skin. And it's been proven that people that suffer depression, they have a higher tendency of suffering of of skin disorders. It has been proven. And not only that, the large intestine and the lung, they are related with discharging of, in this case, fecal matter or gases that are not needed in our body. So when someone is suffering depression and he has a deficient metal element, the person is going to have a tendency to hold into something. The person doesn't recognize that it has arrived the moment to let go, and it grabs whatever it is that needs to be gone, grabs it and doesn't let it go. So there is an inability of the person of letting go. The person cannot recognize that it has arrived the moment to let go. And it gives a lot of information for us, because a person that is suffering depression and has problems with the metal element is the person cannot let go. It's related with grief. Therefore, there's the presence of grief, sadness. Some way, somehow, the person is clinging into this feeling of sadness, of grief, or any other feeling or emotion closely related with those two. And that's the metal element. The person doesn't um, boundaries. Therefore, is going to be a person that he lets anyone step on him or himself. He let anyone technically violates their private space, their privacy. They just they just don't mind. Some other people, they because they cannot create that space of, this is where, this is my space, this is my sacred space, this is my private area, don't approach it from here. What the person does is start gaining weight. And it's very interesting, because people that have depression have a tendency to start eating a lot of junk food, which eventually make them gain weight. Um, so we're seeing here a very interesting dynamic. The character in Chinese for metal, it shows that there is an interaction, and that's why it is associated with the skin. The skin doesn't allow everything to go through, but it is selective on what lets get across the barrier of the skin. And that's the same way in our life. When the metal element is deficient, the person cannot recognize when it's a time to stop something and allow something else. It is very difficult to the person, and then we are seeing all the other elements starting to act here, and the person is going to allow a lot of negative stuff to bombard him or her, causing more grief, a lot of brooding, um, grief, sadness, and brooding. Those are the best words that I can use for the metal element. And the best essential oil for the metal element is um, tea tree. Tea tree is the best one that I can say, and coriander seed. It's going to strengthen the the metal element. You can also use hyssop, but for me, those are the best two choices to strengthen the metal element when the person is showing deficiency. At this point, you probably are realizing that there's no such thing as um, one element in depression. Is many of them that are already affected, but that's something that I'm going to discuss later on. So, sorry. The mother of metal is earth, and metal gives birth or procreates or generates water. And then here, water is related with DNA, with the kidney meridian, is related with fear and death. So the person, and it's also related with will, with the will. So once we reach the element of water, that means that the person hasn't not lost joy, fire element, but the desire, the will of being alive, and the person wants to die. That's practically the last stage of a very chronic depression. And that's a sign that the water element has been already reached, that is affected or deficient. The metal element is related with the ears, so sound is very, very, very closely related with the water element. And we already know about, I always forget the name of this Japanese guy who proved without doubt that water, the molecular structure of water changes according to the sound, the voice. If you say, I love you, the water is going to change and it's going to turn into a very beautiful molecule. When you say, I hate you, the water, the molecule of the water is going to shrink. It's going to get ugly. You have seen the pictures, then you know what I'm talking about. And therefore, sound is very important for the water element. And then I'm talking about chanting, prayers, and anything along that line, anything mystical, but sounds like mantras are very helpful for anyone that has a water element that is deficient. Because the water element is related with fear, there's going to be a lot of fear involved in this dynamic. Okay, fear for the future. There's going to be obviously hopelessness and a desire to die. That's the extreme part of it, because the will is already affected. The Shen is already disturbed. That is the heart, the emperor. There's no joy anymore. The person has lost the sense of being secure and stable. The person has turned into a very rigid, stubborn mentality. There's a holding into grief and sadness, and the person doesn't recognize the time that has arrived of letting go. And all that stuff, what it does is it overwhelms the water element. The water element then turns inward, withdraw. That's also a manifestation of a deficiency of the metal and water, withdrawal. But this is a different type of withdrawal. This withdrawal is because the person is afraid. And the metal element, the withdrawal is because the person is trying to create a barrier to protect itself, but is unsuccessful. And the water element is all about fear. And then what we're seeing is a lot of fear impending. The person turns very kind of dramatic, pessimistic is the perfect word that describes a deficient water element. So the person is very, very pessimistic. And with that, we finally close the 5 elements. So exactly as I said it, that's what we call the engendering cycle. So one element, when it turns deficient, immediately is going to affect the other one. But we also have a controlling cycle. For example, the water element controls the fire, and the fire element controls the metal. Sorry. So when there is fear for whatever, when there's fear, the person loses joy. When the person loses joy, the person turns sad, metal element. So as you can see, everything is connected in TCM. And this is all about finding balance and harmony. The metal element controls the wood element. And the wood element is about planification, is about being flexible in life. But because there is grief, there's sadness, and because there's already fear and a lack of joy, the person stops planning for the future. The person turns rigid, apathic. There's no empathy. So we start seeing how all the elements start interacting with each other, and we start seeing all this dynamic. For the water element, you could use many different oils depending on the manifestation. For the water element, you could use cinnamon. For the earth element, I mentioned a few ones, but anything that is related with spices like marjoram is also really good. Cypress. The metal element is about communication, the larynx. So it's all about expressing what we feel, our emotions, and how we see and understand the world. So we need cypress. Cypress essential oil is really good for us to express our emotions. And someone that has depression needs to express, verbalize what it's feeling. And the cypress oil, essential oil, therapeutic grade, is going to help enormously in that aspect. Okay, and the heart chakra, I believe, is related with the fire element. I don't know if I mentioned it, but you can use ilang ilang. I love using ilang ilang as sweet orange. But if the person needs, if the person is already cold, you can add a little bit of ginger essential oil. In Chinese medicine, ginger is warming. You can use ginger. You can use cinnamon. When you use ginger and cinnamon, Weizhi and Rogwei and Shengjiang, those are the names of ginger, Shengjiang, Weizhi, and Rogwei. They're warming in nature. And in Chinese medicine, Weizhi, which is cinnamon, it warms the coronary vessels of the heart. So what it does is going to bring warmth to the person's life. It's going to bring joy. If the person is already pessimistic, orange essential oil is going to be of great help. Okay, so we have all these elements interacting in someone that has depression, that is suffering of depression. We have different techniques. Like I said, laughing yoga for an element of fire that is efficient. Water element, we need chanting, we need prayers, we need anything that is sound, because it's related with the ears. Um, we earth element, we need something that make us feel secure. The same thing with the wood element. The wood element is more networking and exercises, stretching, because we need to move that chi, that energy. We need to move, flow, and then the social life is very important. Okay, so more or less that's what I can say about depression and the five elements. Now let's talk a little bit about depression and astrology. I'm sorry. And for me, to look at someone that has depression, I like to look at the natal chart and look at where Neptune is located, where's Chiron, and the North Node, and the Moon. But mainly, oh, and Saturn and Uranus. They are very important in someone that has depression in the natal chart. Neptune, for me, is the source of the depression, is showing up what causes the depression on the person. Obviously, depending the house and the sign is going to tell more information. So someone that has Neptune in the first house is letting us know that the source of depression is the personality, the schema, their personality, their schemas. They have to work this out. They might be confused, whatever it is. Now, when we look at Chiron, Chiron also is going to show what other areas causes depression, but the root is that one. For example, someone that has Neptune in the second house, we already know that the person's source of depression is going to be anything related with income. So if someone loses the job, the possibilities of feeling depressed are really high because the source of feeling secure and stable are present. But now, let's say that Chiron is in house number 4, the home. Without money, you cannot pay the rent. And if you cannot pay the rent, you will be out of your house. Do you understand the dynamic? And that's what I like to see. Now, Saturn is showing us where the person is being very rigid and where the person needs to be a little bit more flexible. And that's why we have to look at Uranus. Uranus is going to show us where the person needs to work, where the person needs to be more flexible, where the person needs to explore a little bit more. Sorry. The North Node is, we can see it as the direction that life is pushing us. But we need to look into all those little details and we can figure out what the person needs to do. Now, if the person has the moon in an earth element, what the person should be doing is doing things that make them feel good. Like going out, eating at a nice restaurant, enjoying what life has to offer. A nice restaurant. The person can cook if the person wants, cooking, anything like that, anything that is nourishing, anything that is pertaining to the earth element, nourishing, cooking, taking care of something or someone or ourselves, making a really nice breakfast in the morning. You can do something that I like to call gourmet, a gourmet breakfast. So in the morning, let's say Sundays is your day off, and that day you do something that when you do it, you feel proud of yourself and you feel proud, nourished, and taken care of. And you now do a nice meal, a nice breakfast, whatever it is, and that is going to satisfy the earth element. Okay, if you are if your moon is in a fire element, then you need to do something that it keeps you active, exercises, whatever it is. Okay. If it is a air element, then you need to involve yourself in social life and anything that is intellectual, anything that it stimulates your mind. Okay, something that changes your perception, that exposes you to different ways of thinking and seeing and understanding the world. That's if your moon is on in an air sign. If your moon is on water, this is about emotions. The only way that you can do this is by expressing and communicating your feelings and your emotions with someone else. And here, the best thing I can tell you is therapies. Cognitive behavioral therapy will work really great. But with someone with depression, it's going to work really well, especially if the water element has been already affected, like I said before. Okay, so this is more or less an idea for you, a different way of thinking and analyzing depression from a TCM perspective and from an astrological perspective. We also have to keep in mind that it's not only the moon, we have also the rising sign. The rising sign is also going to show us what else the person should be doing. So someone that has the moon in an earth element and the rising sign on an air sign not only have to do things that take care of themselves, that makes them feel nurtured, but also have to socialize and get involved in anything that is intellectual, learning a new language, going to the museum, watching a documentary that challenges your way of thinking, your perceptions. And that is going to be with any other rising sign. If your rising sign is a fire sign, and let's say with moon in earth element, then you have to do something that takes care of yourself by feeding yourself, going out, eating a nice meal, and things like that, and involving yourself in something that keeps you active, running, exercising, whatever it is. Okay. And if it is a water element, earth element, rising sign is water, emotions. You need to watch something that makes you cry because you need to bring that forward, that feeling, that emotion. You have to express it. You have to express your emotions in water element. And I think I cover all the elements. We have to take under consideration the sun. So we are three. So, but exactly the same that I said is going to apply with each element. If your sun sign is fire, you need activity, challenges in life. If your sun sign is earth, you need to do something that makes you feel stable and secure and enjoying what life has to offer. A good wine. So once in a while, you can spoil yourself and go out, go to a really nice restaurant, expensive, not too expensive, because then you're going to be depressed because you spend too much money in something that you cannot afford. But you get my mood, okay? And that's the kind of dynamic that we have to engage with people that have depression according to astrology. We have to look into all those little details and work towards that. We can do social, some kind of social service, make us feel good, that kind of dynamic. So when we are capable of understanding which element is the one involved from a TCM perspective and an astrological perspective, we are capable to be proactive and do something that is palliative, something that is going to help us ameliorate the signs and symptoms of depression. And if you are on medication, hopefully it's going to help you to cut back the dosages of your medication. And who knows, you probably will be able to be medication free. Okay, there's something that is called mindfulness based stress reduction. That one also is going to help you, but that one works with the mind, which is the earth element in this case. In astrology, is related with the air element. And all this kind of stuff, meditation is going to help. And it has been proven already scientifically that meditation does activate centers in our midbrain, the thalamus, hypothalamus, and all that structures, all those structures are related with emotions and feelings. Okay, so I hope that this information is helpful. Um, I hope that it does open you to a different way of understanding things. That some way, somehow, I hope that this reaches out anyone that is in need for this information. And you never know who you can help. At this moment, this is my first time doing this in English. Hopefully, I'm going to do it more frequently, highly probable once a month. Um, I was thinking of doing every week, but it's too much at this point in life. I'm doing so many things at the same time that every week is too much for me. But my purpose is to reach out every single soul in this planet as much as possible, help them raise awareness and consciousness, and affect as many lives and raise that vibrational level and help our planet to reach higher levels of consciousness, because I think we really need that. Because when we look around, we really, really need that. Um, Remember that my email is D as in David, tarot72@gmail.com. You can reach me there. You can, if you have questions related with this video, you can ask them. You can reach out and I can ask the questions, clarify anything that I was not able to clarify properly. And keep that in mind. If you are in Queens, New York, or Manhattan, Brooklyn, be aware that I also do acupuncture. and I work with chakras, and I work with essential oils. So if you think that I can help you out in any of those modalities, just please reach out. I'm more than happy to help you. You're going to start seeing that there's some pop-ups or tabs in my videos that are going to take you to my webpage or my blog, which is going to list my services. There's another one that is going to list my products on Etsy.com. There I have pendulum boards, and I have essential oils that I have created for the chakras, and soaps. I call them spiritual soaps that are helpful to keep bad energy, if you want to call it like that. It eliminates low vibrational type of energies. That's the kind of soap that I created. And you can go there, you can click, you can navigate, you can email me. I'm more than happy to help you out with anything. And like I said before, I'm going to end up with the same thing that I said before, my biography. My name is not really important. I'm just a messenger. And I've been doing tarot card reading for almost 20 years. Astrology, I've been doing it for probably 3 or 4 years, and I'm still learning a lot. I was a minister. Right now, I'm a priest. I'm actually a priest from Santeria, but I don't practice Santeria. That's just for me, on my own benefit. But I do share any spiritual recipe that I know that it can help anyone. I do share that knowledge. So you can reach out, and I will be more than happy to help you out. Um, right now, I'm studying biblical Hebrew. Therefore, I will be able to read and translate the Torah. And what else? What I can say? My degrees, like I said at the beginning, um, I studied back when on my teenage days. I studied electronics. I never exercised that. I never liked electronics, even though I have Uranus rising. Um, I studied that. I studied for a few years computers, and then I ended up with a bachelor in marketing, business administration. Never worked in that area. And I ended up doing something that I really enjoy, which is acupuncture and herbs. Now I incorporate essential oils, herbs, and chakra to my practice. Okay, with that, I finish my transmission. I hope that this information is very helpful. If one person is helped with this information, I accomplish my mission. And to the next one. And like everyone says, namaste.